Okay, so John is on a list that implies he's very dangerous. Okay, well, can I tell you something? Maybe John is very dangerous because Satanists are targeting his thought process. And I have learned that while it's happening, it will literally drive you nuts. It will stress you out. I've lived around other people. I believe my sister is targeted very badly, I'm convinced, and other people that I've met, and who have the same similarities as what I do. It's just that it's different levels of it. Some people are a little bit different at it than others, meaning some people can tolerate it. Their tolerance level is a little bit unique, where some people could literally be that irritated that they end up going on destroying everything around them spree, where other people just may snap a lot and scream, have outbursts of screaming and stuff. In other words, they inflict the kind of energy that stresses you out. It keeps you stressed out, and then you snap mentally, and then verbally you start snapping as well. Okay, I've seen this, I witnessed it. I can testify that a lot of people I've met in my life, something was different, and I knew it. I just didn't realize how it was being done until I started realizing how it's done to me. Okay? With that being said, if that lady who is in Vermont who was speaking to Tracilyn about this John case, then know that I would appreciate you staying in touch with me. Honor your words, not your thought process that could lead you away from it. I was a victim to something that almost encouraged me while I was being stimulated by these Satanists to jump over a bridge. I was bedridden. I have witnesses. I was inducing large quantities of alcohol, getting stoned. I was self-mutilating myself in some level, one form or another, chain smoking out of stress because of the thought process being targeted while also this trauma being inflicted upon me. I would like to talk to John personally, if it's possible, not to yell at him, to talk to him, because I think I know what happened that day. Now, there's lives at stake, whether he wants it or not. The only reason he would say he don't want it is not in the spirit. It would be because of Satanists manipulating his thought process. In my opinion, the court should arrange that as an absolute, okay? In my opinion, honor your words and give me a call back. My phone number is on my website at tracilyn.com. Scroll down to the bottom. Call me. Okay. Now, I contacted Connecticut victim advocates that also gave me phone numbers to supposed government accountability. They were supposed to be for government accountability, meaning the government is accountable for seeing to it that victims are dealt with in a mature manner that aids in their healing process. In both cases of my traumatized, actually in 3 or 4 cases of it, including the one in Sacramento, California, they did not. Okay, where's the compassionate police force in Sacramento, California? Why didn't you call me and ask me how I'm doing? Okay, we heard one of our police officers traumatized you, and we're sorry about that. How are you getting along with life today? Sacramento, you owe me an apology. You owe me a phone call. Out of respect for life. Same with York County Police Station, where it should be on camera. In my opinion, by law, they should keep all the video footage. And we should show that video footage live on television, where the police officers were literally laughing their asses off at a transsexual who was being fingerprinted for wrongful doings of being a prostitute, which is bullshit. The cop put money in my hand because there was a knock at the door. And I said, what is this for? I went up to get the door. He stood in front of me and said, no, let me get that. Okay? Meanwhile, the money wasn't even found on me. It was found underneath a chair cushion of the hotel, and I didn't even have the hotel room in my name that day. Okay? And same with Wethersfield. In all honesty, the undercover detective, DeMonte, unfortunately has been going through personal life circumstances. And I've learned over years, I still don't know whether or not he's trustworthy, to be honest with you, because of what happened. But I have really come to a place of loving him And I hope someday I get to put on a beautiful theater show and I can invite him and his family and Weathersfield Police Department to my show. You don't have to come, but that would be nice. Maybe some of you could come up on stage and sing with me the escort song. That would be great, wouldn't it? Yeah, that would be great. That would be a way to make it up. Kind, compassionate. This lady was very kind and compassionate. I've noticed when you call victim services, most of the women are very, very compassionate, at least on the phone. They come across very nice, sympathetic, they understand, and they actually do. This lady in Connecticut actually seemed to understand how difficult it was for victims, period, in the United States, let alone in Connecticut or Weathersfield, in the fact that there's not enough that is being done in support of victims. Well, how many people are reading the Bible and come into the acknowledgement, you know what? Not everything should be volunteer. But the truth of the matter is, there are other ways of handling things very maturely, okay? There is always something that can be done for victims. Just simply being a friend, a phone call. You can call me, you can Skype me. I'll stop over and visit you. And really, there should be funding for that, okay? There should be funding for that. Because I am proving every day that keeping a victim alive and healthy has something to offer for the entire planet and the kingdom of heaven, which pisses off the kingdom of hell. Kind and compassionate. So for any other reason to keep victims alive and healthy and get them out there doing good works for the Lord is to piss off Satanists, because they don't like that. Okay, I was supposed to receive a copy and they should have offered me a paper with hotlines. Okay, victim services. The day that this happened to me in Connecticut, with the person who put me in handcuffs and confiscated my laptop computer and ransacked my room, obviously didn't take none of my money. I had over $400 in cash in my purse, and it was obvious it was there. But they took everything that had to do with operating my business, which is something that it seems to me that crooked cops would do. Crooked cops, not all cops, crooked ones, at least in the moment. If they were told or instructed to do it, they would take the things that an escort operates on. Let me tell you something. I've said this before, and I'm going to tell you. It's not the reason to do it. But as an escort, I could literally make more money in one day than most people I met that work 2 months straight. When you're a very kind-hearted person, you know how to find your own standard, and when the clients contact you, you stay in the fruits of the Spirit, and you only conversate with those that you would give the time of day. Not the people that aren't in your boundaries. You got to have your own boundaries. What I'm willing to do, what I'm not willing to do. And you should be able to speak very freely about this. Now, why should somebody go through life knowing that in 1 or 2 days they can make more money than they could doing anything else in the slave trade of working for 2 months? Why should they do that if they're okay with being with multiple people? You should be able to speak freely. I'm willing to do this with you in exchange for this. Okay? All of us. The government should have no say, not the worldly government, has no say in that. People need to come out of hiding and start speaking. Satanists use physical people as the reasoning as to what team of people are inflicting some kind of harmful pain into the lives of others. Okay, and I'll explain that some other time, as I have already explained, that they can literally be like the Holy Spirit inside the body, the spirit of darkness. Okay? They use humans' bodies, other humans' bodies. They don't need to use their own bodies. Now, how are they doing this? I don't know. Many people used to get locked up in mental institutions because of this. All right? And tortured by Satanists through the doctors. It's real stuff. Read the Bible and find out how demonic the angels of darkness are. So that's my opinion with that. Now, that day they should have given me a sticky note is what I heard. Like a sticky note, a card, and it has all the phone numbers for contacting victim services. I, Tracilyn, do not recall ever getting the numbers. In my opinion, that day, at the hotel, I should have had somebody for victim services speak with me. I should have been taken to the emergency room, and I should have been fully evaluated, and at that time, spoken to by a social worker to find out what is going on. Just like the first time I was set up for prostitution, but I wasn't. They should have spoke to me to find out what my circumstances are, not fine me, not put me on probation and make my life more miserable. They should have helped me get my needs met in a different way if they didn't want me spreading my ass for a paycheck. All right? Escorts are inflicted more pain because of how corrupted the laws are and the police officers who enforce the laws, and they set people up, okay? If cops gotta set people up, the bottom line is there should be none. In other words, they're breaking the law continuously, but nobody's doing anything about it, okay? Escorting is not prostitution, it's a form of service to humanity. I did not get that information. I did get information for the Wethersfield Police Department and who to contact there, okay? Now, in my opinion, at any given situation when there is involved, especially in this situation with an escort, with somebody who is victimized, immediately, when that's heard that I've been victimized, there should be a social worker there and information should be given. Are you okay now? Do you have somewhere to go? And instead of just giving them a homeless shelter, they should be given a really nice place to stay, because part of the healing process is get them into a loving environment, not just a cold basement kind of atmosphere of a homeless shelter, okay? Where are our standards at, and why can't we turn some of these abandoned hotels or other facilities into beautiful places for people who've been victimized? What they need immediately is love and compassion and the fruits of Jesus Christ through humanity. Why do you think there's such a high toll of people jumping over bridges in New York and California? That is Satanists attacking their brains, folks, after a tragedy they really inflicted on you. And they need somebody to get there and shake them up a little bit. You don't want to do that. Nobody wants to kill themselves. You want to live. But your brain is under attack right now, your thought process. So I was very disappointed with that, because I ended up sharing my whole life story, and that's what turned out because of it. And then I realized that these people were also using my daddy here in Ohio, working through him, working through the other people I'm living with. This is a real deal, folks. They split up churches, families, friendships, you name it, bands. The first thing they do is attack the brain, the thought process. Then they try to scare you by sending other people by you and drifting little words to let you know you're being watched and stuff. Scares the crap out of people. They can't do nothing to you. If they did, they would get arrested and put in jail. They try to inflict fear into your life. And then they get into your thought process and try to get you to screw it up. People need to acknowledge the Bible is freaking real. Just because America came to the place it is today does not mean that the Bible in biblical times is not real. People used to live to be 800, 900 years old. The reason why we're dying before we're 100 years old in most situations is because they're sizzling us, okay? They're zapping our brains. That's what your social security number entails. You've already been given the number of the beast, which is the direct contact in zapping your body. They don't want lives around. In my notes, in closing with this, before I go to the restroom up here, when a circumstance that involves a victim, the police department should offer phone numbers and contact information. This is what she told me. This is what all police officers should do. They call this a tear-off sheet, which is like a sticky note for victim services specifically. And that victim might not be strong enough emotionally to pick up the phone because nobody else has shown compassion because she's being attacked. Do you realize that everybody I reach out to for help in my time of near-death experience, that's because Satanists are freaking using the bodies of those people and keeping them away from me. They play with their thought process. This is real. Demons use the minds of other people to get that person into a lonely place of seclusion. Most suicides are because of this. It's real. It's not because a person's crazy, it's because they're a targeted individual by Satanists. And it's because humanity is not in tune with the fact of the Christ the living King is already inside them, Joyce Myers and Joel Osteen and all you other preachers that freaking say you gotta ask Jesus into your heart. He's already there. If you read the Bible, you'll find out we're all connected. And if one believed, you believe for humanity. Now let's get past that. And this sticky note should be assigned, or the victim should be assigned to a victim, or victim services, and should be assigned to a victim advocate, meaning I should have been assigned to a victim advocate that would have checked in with me. And then when I needed things like I need an attorney to sue these people, she is the one that is like the referee in handling everything, and then sees to it that I get a proper attorney in her area that will get on the case immediately. And there should be no statute of limitations with it. I should be able to still sue John. I should still be able to sue the Wethersfield Police Department. I should still be able to sue Zamora. All right? A lot of money because they brought me near death. They traumatized me. And it traumatizes me to know that a police force wouldn't get on top of it and take care of the matter earlier than 10 years. 10 years it took them. And then one of them they didn't even cite because he's in jail for other punishment. Do you know what the lady told me in Vermont? John might be released soon. Why isn't he going to Connecticut to prison? Wethersfield? Why aren't you officers being disciplined and fired from the police force for not taking this as a prioritized case? You don't vacate somebody's search warrant or a warrant for their arrest. You arrest the son of a bitch. More victims, prostitutes, Craigslist escorts were wrongfully done by the police officers in America, by the law system. And it's because Satanists are messing with everybody's head, trying to kill and brute. They'd rather use police force. Satanists would rather use a police force to slay the human race than they would for the police force to enlighten and lift up the spirits. When I was a kid, I used to look up to police officers. They came to my school, and I remember walking up to one and I said, I really like their uniform and I really admire you. Thank you for keeping us safe. Well, let me tell you something. Later years, I don't feel so safe around police officers. In fact, I get to the point of saying, take off your gun, take off your badge, and let's settle this the right way. I'm not doing anything wrong. You're the criminal, police officers. I didn't do anything wrong. You want to handle it this way? Because that's the way it should be. I'm innocently trying to go through life. Ever since 2007, when I came out, my personal identity, I've been stuck in struggle trying to stay alive, and I learned that cops are assholes to people like me. Because I'm trying to stay alive. The police forces in America owe me a day of apology. And people like me. They're letting Satanists influence their thought process. They need to be in what they do for life, not using it as an opportunity to inflict abuse amongst humans. Maybe I should go get a badge and put a gun around my waist and go around and just beat the crap out of humans. Does that give me the right? Did you ever go down the interstate here on 70 or 75 and see a police officer in the left lane without his lights on doing about 100 miles an hour past you? Pull him the fuck over. Arrest that man. He should lose his license immediately. He's endangering the lives of everybody. I am sick of seeing cops think that they can do whatever the hell they want because they got a badge. I want a written permission slip that says I can do 120 miles down the interstate, past every cop I see, and give them the finger. I do whatever I want. Just because you got a badge and a gun around your waist doesn't make you superior to nobody. Because there's always somebody that's watching you that could zap your brain with a laser. So there should be an agency that actually sees to it that the victims are reached. And it should be dialogued, meaning they should keep track. I called them at this time. They didn't return my call. I wrote them an email. They did not reply, or they did. And it shouldn't be within a day that they have to get a hold of them. When somebody's healing, they don't have the energy. I needed people, folks. I needed people to love me and help me. And a lot of people have left me down. A lot of people that should have helped me left me down. And now my mind is strong, and I can stand in front of those same people and tell them, you're an asshole. I needed you when I was weak, and now I'm strong. Selfish. It's the spirit of selfishness. Satanist. The length of time should be indefinite for victim to sue the guilty, including the police station, which should have charges placed on them, or the law office should be sued. That's what I just said. Okay? There should be no statute of limitations on it. I called lawyers and they said, well, it's been over 7 years, but yeah, over 7 years, and I'm only starting to now have a solid mind. I was bedridden for all these years. I was near death for many years. Now I want to freaking file suit against all of them. Not for a little bit, for a lot. Some of those people in Wethersfield Police Department should be fired. Fired! Because they didn't handle it maturely in a timely, efficient manner. It should not take 10 years to settle a case. And if you're that far backlogged, then the truth of the matter is, hire more people. And by the way, if you invested more time in taking care of the victims of real crimes, instead of going out and setting people up for crimes they didn't commit, and working on those cases, maybe you'd have more time to do what is just. Period. I am gonna go to the bathroom. Look at this, folks. We did one entire page. We have another page of situations that happened. I'm excited to say that today I am letting this out because I really want to get past 2019, the beginning, actually the end of 2018, all the way to my birth. I don't want to really talk about it unless it's going to be TV, radio, in person, or in conversation with other people. But as far as sharing my blogs, I really want to move forward. I'm working on my new project for the Ragtop Cadillac. Finally, almost 10 years later, it would be 9 years later, I am finally doing it. Okay, details of your life. Details of your life. Check out this view. I'm thinking about doing one of my videos here if we ever get a lot of snow. This is one of my favorite places that I love to go. It's just on the other side of the park with the bridge where I did Cross of Love music video. And I don't remember the name of the parks. Because I've been dealing with a lot of things on my mind. And I just like people. I'm not good with names. So I always tell people, if you cross paths with me and you gave me your name, don't be hurt if I don't remember the name. But I do remember the details of the circumstances. And if you share with me even 10, 20, 30 years ago, this is what was said, this is where we were, chances are I'm going to remember the details, and then your name will come visual into my head. In other words, that information is kind of stored in our brain like a computer, okay? I'm confident in that. And much like a computer can be reprogrammed for all kinds of things, we have the ability of reprogramming ourselves to stay more in a loving, caring spirit. And again, in closing with this, as I get ready to go to the lavatory and I might get a refill, coffee, maybe not. It's my coffee day when I do stuff like this. I chose to come outside into the car because for the longest time I really wanted to live in a hotter climate. And most of my life, that was one thing I wanted to do on a priority list. Things happened the way they did, and it became worse and worse and more magnified. I felt that now's my time. I'm ready to kind of nest and have a home. That doesn't mean I don't want to travel. I don't want to do my music and stuff like that and tour and stuff. But I really wanted a home base somewhere I wanted to live. And now I make my home in Dayton, Ohio because of circumstances. Now, a lot of people would want you to be content with exactly where you are. Where I am was not a choice that I made, except for because I had no other choice. It was what was logical. I was getting kicked out continuously by what I perceived as a psychopathic man, who is my daddy, who has hurt me because he doesn't want to be in my life anymore, because he married some person who has a firm personality, has developed their idea of who Tracilyn is. And rather than accept me as a daughter to Zot, the truth of the matter is she wanted me out of the life. Well, here's the thing. That's what Satanists do want. And Satanists will use your wife, okay, to influence you and put pressure on who you're with to keep somebody else out of your life. I'm not a home wrecker. I don't want to do that. I would never purposely try to do that. I love my daddy very much, and I want him in my life. It doesn't have to be every single day. Just a simple hello, or maybe a stop by and, I just wanted a hug and how you doing? Is there anything I can do for you? Vice versa. And that's it. Just a loving relationship. Unfortunately, it did not work out like that. So I'm staying strong, and I realize that it's not the people to be upset with. It's not a human being. Most people want to have loving, caring people in their life like me. It's the simple fact that Satanists attack the brain and the thought process and divide the church family and a family and relationships of all kinds that way. Okay? So that's the same thing with me reaching out to people in the music industry. Knowing my heart and knowing who I am and reading my mind and knowing all the details about me, it's very possible that they have continuously tried to keep people from my personal life increasing in every area. And I am fed up with people not being in tune with this. Okay, I'm a good-hearted, loving person. I'm no different than any other human. I'm natured the same. But I always strive, and I'm missing out on a lot in life in the fact that I don't have people that I can channel and exercise love into, okay? And it can't be the wrong people. I watch speakers, and speakers will influence you that God did give you people. God did give you people. God doesn't give you people like that, in my opinion. You have to recognize the kind of relationships that are healthiest for you. You don't have time to be in a relationship with every single buddy in the whole wide world. You're not God. The people in your close proximity should be the ones that really have common interest, your passions. They're passionate about them. Do you like cars? Do you like animals? Do you love nature? Do you love exercising? Do you love music? Do you want to travel? You want to be more of a homebody? Do you want to live in the city, the country? These are things that are important because common interest is what really manifests beautiful love between people. For instance, if you want to live in the country, why be with somebody who wants to live in the city? Unless you have a whole lot of other things in common, There's all kinds of reasons to be with people. But it's very important, and no teachers will speak to you the way I did until I started to speak. A lot of teachers have really wrecked a lot of lives just because their whole teaching process is satanic. Whether they realize that they're being used in their thought process when they speak or not. It's very scary once you realize that. I am going to go down here, and use the restroom. When I am done, I am excited because I got one more page of insight. And then from here on out, Tracilyn is going to focus on Ragtop Cadillac album, recording that. And I'll give periodic updates with that. And I'm going to start looking for a new home this year. I don't know for sure if I'll be able to make it out of Dayton, but I'm thinking of moving to Columbus. But if I can't find a home I want to live in, then I'm here, okay? And could I live in Dayton the rest of my life? Yes, under the right detailed circumstances, okay? Detailed circumstances means I still want to play beautiful venues, and I still want to tour and play other venues as well. Okay, I still want to record my music. There's a lot of things I want to do. And I don't want to be a fool and go around doing things for free when I know there's other areas of life that I desire. One of them is the financial ability to get the things in life that I desire. This has been taken away from most of us. All of the earth and everything contained there within belongs to the Almighty God, not Satan. It belongs to God. With that being said, anyone who believes in Jesus Christ, equally, everything has been given to them. Now, what would be the proper way to disperse in the fact that people get the opportunity to have the life in their head, which is heaven to them, and it would be a benefit for the rest of humanity, for life? I don't know all the answers, but the way that everything has been done is very corrupted, and it rapes people of a beautiful life. Number one, education is crucial, okay? And number two, working for stuff is not the answer, okay? That's enslavement. That's what causes a large portion of pain and suffering and death. So remember, it's not money you want as much as the freedom to live and fulfill the to fulfill the life desires that are truly yours, not put there by other people or other reasonings. It's truly what you desire. For me, there's a long list of things that I desire, and I can't attend to all of them at once. So right now I'm focusing on music. And it's a very lonely journey. I do it alone, and I don't do it in most favorable circumstances. I can't just pick up and move. Number one, Joyce Myers, if you ever see this, number one is get yourself safe. How do we go about getting somebody in a safe environment that's long-term, and a psychopathic man can't be influenced by Satanists and kick you out as soon as you start doing what's best for yourself first, Joyce? Not get your mind off yourself, get your mind on yourself. And you're going to learn, Joyce Myers, over the years, I am going to point it out to you. What you've been speaking of is completely opposite from the truth. You always stay focused on yourself, not get your mind off yourself. I've learned a lot by focusing on myself. Don't ever listen to somebody tell you get your mind off yourself. The only way to figure out what your true needs are is to focus on yourself. And it could take years, because it's going against the majority of what you've been taught your whole life by psychopaths who don't realize that their teachings are enslaving and imprisoning people to a whole life that is not ever intended for them, if for any other reason, the pain and suffering so they could be one of the greatest writers in the world. All right, going to the bathroom. Love you, and we'll be back soon. Okay, I am back. I just got back from the restroom, and I'm back at my parking space that I selected for today. That bridge over there is really, really nice. Dayton, at least, if not all of Ohio, has really, really nice bridges. It's like they didn't just make a bridge for you to drive over for whatever reasoning. They actually put some kind of creative design into it. And I think it's romantic more here on the top. Do you see that? It is on the bottom too. I'll show you that sometime maybe when I'm working on one of my videos. But I bet you at nighttime that's a very pretty bridge to drive over. What I've realized is in life, if more people were in tune, rather than our focus being on many other things, when we realize that our creations, like creating bridgeways for their purpose, but also acknowledging that every single day, all day long, that these cars, one by one, two at a time, go across these bridges, whether people are in tune with it or not, it's kind of like the motion picture of their life. And in time, there are people who acknowledge things like that and may stop by and stand on the rail, looking at the river, the waterways, looking at the pretty lights, and maybe sharing with people how much this bridge means to me. My whole life I drove over this bridge. I have many memories of just driving or sitting at the red light looking at it. Or maybe, unfortunately, somebody in the snow slid across it. In other words, you have a relationship with the entire area in your day-to-day life, whether it's trees, the river, streets, with lots of potholes and stuff like that. Every day for 5 years I drove over that same pothole, and now it's not there no more. But my car still has the rattles to prove it. If we get our focus, clarity, within our mindset, we really start, in my opinion, to speak in a manner that we were really meant to speak, which is the words of love to channel through us by praising all things and being grateful, very grateful for the lights, for the roads, for the river, for the bridges. And it breaks my heart when I ride on the bike path, which I love here in Ohio a lot. My personal opinion, I think there should be bike paths close to the river. Throughout the entire state of Ohio, there should be bike paths all over the place, especially by waterways. I just think sometimes it would be fun to connect with other people who like to ride bike, or just by myself and be able to ride bike all over the state. It's very inspirational. But it breaks my heart when I see that there's graffiti paintings on the bridges. And I understand that in a lot of situations it's usually use of some sort, whether mentally or in a physical sense, that are dealing with things, and they get away into the place and they leave their markings. I don't know what the answer is, but maybe you are one of these people. We've all done things similar to it, whether it was train cars or, concrete structures and wherever, sidewalks. And, it just, in my opinion, as creative as it could be, if done tastefully, more so or not, when people just walk up to a piece of property and start spray painting it, it hurts another person when they acknowledge, and I'm one of those people. If only that person who spray painted this bridge would have known to take their creative insights somewhere and place it in a manner that it could be more rewarding for the community at large who do appreciate art and understand pain. For instance, I think it would be cool to have one of my songs that I wrote for Dayton, the lyrics put somewhere within the city, somewhere that's very impactful, meaningful, and will be recognized by others and inspiration to them. Now, if I were to just go wherever I want to and write those lyrics down somewhere, obviously if they'd done a little bit of research, they'd find out who it was who did that, most likely, or is connected to liking the music of such a person, myself. But the truth of the matter is, it wouldn't be fair to the entire community at large, or all life forms, for me to just go and do whatever I want like that. Of respect to others. There's many different viewpoints in that. All of this is for us to share. The city. This is our lifetime. And it breaks my heart when I know that a city, I hear stories about this, that the area that I live in now, just right around within, I'd say, a mile radius of where I am, like maybe south of where I am, about a mile away from where I'm staying, was one of the more wealthiest, considered to be one of the wealthier areas of Dayton, Ohio at one time. And I love wealth very much, and I'm, the Satanist, if you will, would want you not to be proud to say that and excited and enthusiastic. I love riches. I love silver. I love white diamonds. I love the value of precious art. Cars. I love cars. Collectibles. Not everything that everybody likes. I have different interests. And I also acknowledge that I'm a creator of some sort, much like our Father, who is heaven. And I am convinced that I'm creating valuables as well, that in time, they're already classics, but in time they will be recognized that they are very valuable, extremely valuable. My albums, especially designs that I have up here for the creation of, units of various albums that I have. And writings, my poetry. But the main reason is not to solely do it for that. It's because it's where your heart up here, your thought process, the dominant of who you are. God puts it there and shows you what you really, really want to do, honesty. And when you submit to honesty, it can be very challenging if you don't have an emotional support group that is willing to be there for you in your time, that you need to reach out. It's just somebody to maybe lift your spirits, or maybe to let's do something outside of that for now so you can get some free time from all the concentration that one puts in when even working on a recording project or writings. With that being said, I realized that my whole approach in life as I was going about things, I've come to the realization that the most valuable of all that we can offer ourselves in this lifetime and others is in being completely honest to ourselves and doing what it is with our body that we truly desire to do. And that will in itself, in time, as it becomes, inspire, but most importantly, ourselves. I've never been as thankful as I am today. I have pictures that I will show you all over my walls of my apartment. And it's important for me that I share with you. I may or may not have photographs of what my room looked like when I was a teenager. The difference is I used to have other people's images up in my room, and now today I have my own, and I talk to them all the time. We have been taught through satanic measures that it makes us crazy to do that. Anything that leads us more into our true authentic self, Satanists have put pressure on society to believe and to be convinced that it is a form of psychological malfunction and crazy. Whatever is best for us psychologically, they insist that it is unhealthy. Whatever you do, do not, even with myself when you're listening to me, do not just fall into agreement with others. First, read the Bible and surrender to your own honesty and know the only existence that you really truly desire is those who are for you in the moment. We're here to have a healthy relationship with ourselves, which is very Christ-like spirit, which would be the Christ in us and through all the living. Do your heart's desires. Figure out what it is that you truly need, and know that this life is for you to live today. And it breaks my heart to know that this was an area that used to be considered wealthy, and now it's run down with abandoned houses and buildings and potholes, lights burned out. Okay, don't you think that Satanists, the kingdom of Satan, and those who serve it would want to see even worse? They don't care. The spirit found within humanity has to care for itself. It would be nice to know that more people want to see what once was not the same. We're not here to do what's already been done, but like with our bridges, like with the lights, like with the roads, like with the automobile industry, like with the technology we have, with music. A lot of people in mainstream commercial music and entertainment in general have the means and access, however, directly or indirectly, to invade the privacy of other people like myself and use them as resources. When they do that, they are feeding off of inspiration of others and therefore rushing out to put out what it is that they do because they have their very ill reasons as to why they do it, which when we realize it, we would acknowledge it as being very satanic measures against brothers and sisters within the American continent, if you will, country. Now here's the thing, check this out. With that being said, I have realized that it's the people who sit down with heart and they know inspiration comes directly when you're in the Christ spirit to the better of your ability and God surrenders it to you. Something that has touched your life or your own life. And see, I've realized that when you write about the pains and your struggles and inspiration and the funny moments, your life journey, it builds you in a way that Satanists do not like. They do not like people who become confident. They do not like people who smile. They do not like people who let their hair be as they want it, period. Colored, whatever. They don't like you to dress in a manner, and I'm talking about your whole life, not just your body, in a manner that's flashy, that sparkles, that says, I am high on the Christ, the living King. And they don't like your mouth to praise Jesus. Satanists, real Satanists, they don't want you praising anything. And they love to strip humanity of all things that lift their spirits. So what was once rich and well-to-do, right, wrong, or indifferent, becomes broken down. Let us not let that happen. If you're sitting around in a room, laying around, and you're depressed and you're going through things, I'm sorry. I have, if you listen to my life story, ways of you becoming in a healing manner, that you start becoming more conducive for what it is that you truly desire to do. And then when you apply your abilities, it's more personalized and you take it a lot differently in its approach. When we go work for somebody else, some of us put in our very best, but the truth of the matter is, if we were doing it for ourselves, within ourselves, because we're here to create, and it's got to be the very best to us, perfection, our own idea of perfection, then the truth of the matter is the quality of that merchandise, of the product, of the life form is going to be extraordinary compared to if we're just doing it for whatever reason. And in my opinion, over the years, this is why a lot of music that was on the radio, in my opinion, for many years, seemed to suck. And a lot of the television shows, I was just like, wow, I can't believe that that's even on TV. And I already shared about my insight with that. When it becomes more personalized and there's a lot more of a different approach within the manner, in my opinion, and I've learned this by listening to other artists as well, recording artists, and it's more personalized to their life, it becomes very appealing, and you can sense it. The real artist, the artist, the people who are really writing from their heart, pain, hurt, etc., etc. Not just looking for what's hot now, because there is no hot now. What's hot today is always going to be the same, and it's in the dominant thought process. See, the second you surrender to your own truth in your head, you already became a leader. Most people are going unknowingly, some of them knowing. They're scouting and they're looking for a new trend. Forget trends. The only trend that there ever is and is going to be comes directly from the fruits of the Spirit of Jesus Christ, which is in your mind. You, most certainly, all of us, were called to be much different than we became at some point in our life. We'll be working our way back to you, babe. Here we go. I used to love that song a lot. Upper Valley Medical Center. Here's the thing. I got a letter from Upper Valley Medical Hospital. Let's look at this. And I wanted you to know that, this is on another video, I don't want to talk about it all, but the main psychologist doctor that is there, I had a lot of problems with. Okay, during my time of, I was committed into the medical behavior unit, mental behavior unit, through an emergency room by request of my family physician doctor, who is an amazing person, by the way, beautiful, and I'm very grateful I got to meet her. She recommended me to go to the emergency room, had me checked into Upper Valley Medical Center, and it took all day before I finally was seen by a psychologist. They withheld my prescriptions the whole entire day. I was irritated. I brought the prescription pills in. By law, they should honor the pharmaceutical prescription pills. That's why it's there. I am not a prisoner, and I'm not a slave. I checked myself in voluntarily. It was suggested for me to go, and I honored that. I should have been treated very delicately. The doctor, in my opinion, was an asshole. You're an asshole. You're here in Ohio, and I tell you that to your face. You should be shit-canned, your license taken from you. You're a mean man. You should not have kicked me out of the hospital. You're the one with a mental problem, far worse than the patients. Maybe you need a vacation to rethink about things. Period. Are you in a field that you really want to be in? Because you should have a hell of a lot more compassionate and fruits of the Jesus Christ in order to be there. You know, it seems to me that maybe you're a closeted person who's dealing with a lot of mental stress. They're usually kind of drag queeny, like, you know. Here's the thing. He did correct my legal name. The gender was made clear. Thank you for that. I appreciate it very much. He mentioned apologizing in the letter, and in my opinion, the answer is no, he'd never apologized. In fact, he kind of threatened me with the fact that he had people like me arrested before, which tells you that right there you go. Let's look at his record. How many people did he have arrested in his medical field position? Maybe he's the one who should be arrested. Officers of the law, maybe not the patients. They're there to seek mental treatment. They did not mention applying action against him, which was a huge letdown. Upper Valley Medical Center, a hospital. In closing, a portion of your request for correction amendment was approved and the appropriate changes have been made to your records. Misspelling of legal name and age and gender. The other portion of your request for correction amendment has been denied for the following reason. The records you have requested to be amended has been reviewed by the author and to their best recollection is accurate and complete as written. Let me tell you something. In this short, you got my name spelled right. Thank you. My birth date, the fact that I am a male to female transgendered, I am not ashamed of. I am legally female now. So really, technically, the transgendered is appreciated to a point. I'm not ashamed of it. But the truth of the matter is I simply identify as female, and a body part is not declaration of a person being male or female. By the way, if the right doctors in America wanted me to have a baby, it would be easy for them to simply take certain things with elements within my body and, just like in Christ, in the Bible, and be able to produce a child. Okay? In other words, I don't have to have sex with somebody to have a child. Alright, so anyway, with that being said, I take offense to the fact that I know that it is best. That it is because of the unhealthy consciousness of humanity, but really, identity is not the same as a physical body in alignment with what they put. A physical body does not declare what a person's identity is by what I'm saying. I had a friend who had, per se, a Ford engine in a Chevy, or a Chevy engine, a 350 into a Ford car. Okay, so what is your mindset? Is it a Windows? Is it Linux? Is it a Mac? Okay, let's be real about this, folks. It's pathetic what I come to learn. Now, with that being said, this works for me. I don't ever want to go to that hospital again because of him. I like the hospital. The staff really wasn't all that friendly in my opinion. Okay, in the behavior unit. In the actual hospital where I went to get the records, yes. They were fairly pretty decent. I realize that more so or not, with facilities like this, they are most likely targeted via satellite, and they have a certain personality alteration while they're there. In other words, their brain is being stimulated with some kind of electric pulse, and words, which are God of the universe, are being influenced within their minds for them to have a certain presentation. Okay, period. Whether you want to believe that or not. Okay, Satanist has always had an attack on humanity, especially places of gathering or where workforces are, families, okay? And it's usually to keep people separated within. They don't want people to have relationships where you're hugging, you're kissing people, you're complimenting them, okay? They want people pretty much in a seclusion life. We're here to do this and that is it. Not human relationships, okay? In my opinion, this doctor, who I've seen twice, I have always been dissatisfied with this doctor. They have never taken it high priority serious that what I'm actually saying is in alignment with the truth. Maybe I am more superior in my intelligence and awareness than the doctor who went to some kind of school. He thinks because he's been doing what he's been doing for as many years as he is, he's superior in intelligence. Okay? No, he knows what he knows, and that's what he's superior in. I don't want to know what he knows. I know what's true, and I know what I'm sharing with him. If he would have taken me seriously, then his best interest would have been to see to it that I am being safe and that my true needs are met. Okay? Now, with Upper Valley, if I ever get checked into a hospital again, I don't want to go to Upper Valley. And by the way, I live in Dayton, Ohio. I shouldn't have to go 20, 30, 35, 40 minutes outside of Dayton City to be in a mental facility for evaluation. End of story. I live in Dayton. And by the way, we should not only have one doctor to choose to speak to. Upper Valley, even if I were to go there, they should treat me as though I was the President of the United States. They should treat me as though I am the King Jesus Christ itself. In other words, they should treat me with a great deal of respect, not disrespect. Nothing was done about this. Again, I want a lawyer who says you have a case. They should be sued. They kept my prescription pills and would not give me my medication that was prescribed on the pills I surrendered to them. The doctor kicked me out. I ended up getting a ride home from the same person that I showed up with in Ohio because I had no one else to turn to, because Medicare won't take you, they'll transport you to the hospital, but they won't transport you to your doorstep. That's bullshit, government. It's time to up-snuff Medicare. We shouldn't have to go with other insurance plans. Medicare and Medicaid should cover expenses to travel to and fro hospitals when it is going to be a treatment that they say you can't drive yourself. If the hospital says you can't drive home, or you can't drive there in this situation from hospital to behavior unit and check yourself in, which is bogus anyway, I'm somebody who really wanted to see the doctor, then Medicare and Medicaid should cover it. No argument. See, they do a lot more outpatient, but you gotta get the ride, and if you don't, too bad. Insurance companies, you should cover the expenses, you selfish pieces of shit. All of the expenses. You see, I don't know why more American people aren't standing up for their God-given blessing right, which is we're entitled to all the health care treatment we need. If in the event, at any time, it has been approved for a treatment procedure in the healthcare, psychological, physical, which would include hospital and your family physicians, dental, vision, anything to do with the human body, you should have an insurance card, every American, when you're born. And you should be able to go. You don't have to check in with a doctor first. You go to any of them. Okay, gotta get a chiropractor? I shouldn't have to check with mommy and daddy, I just go. It's my God-given right to take care of myself. I'm here for life. And insurance companies are filled with a bunch of selfish assholes. In my opinion, very strongly. I should have full coverage health insurance with transportation to and from my home on days that I need outpatient treatment or surgery procedures. I shouldn't have to call a friend myself. By the way, I also had asked if I could just simply call a taxi cab and take the taxi home. I would have been okay with that because insurance is not up to snuff, by the way, in my opinion. And the doctor said no. Why isn't there a lawsuit, and why should I have to fist fight people in order to get what is justified? I want health treatment. I go to the hospital. They shouldn't tell me that a taxi ride to my house is not sufficient as a trip to go there. Nobody's going to take care of me anyway when I get home because, in general, people either A, don't have the time or they're selfish anyway. Who wants to take care of other people? Most people don't. Okay? I have to take care of myself since I came out because our goddamn government did not provide me education to know what to do in my time of need. They are too selfish assholes. The United States government is filled with them, okay? You need to get off your lazy old asses and you need to start signing papers in favor of life and in logical intelligence. I'll take your position. I'm not a pussy. I'll take your salary. I'll take your health benefits and all the perks that come with it. And I'll do a better job than you. Telling me there's no work and there's nothing we can do for homeless? Well, we can start by yanking your salaries. Why should you get paid for that position? It should be volunteer only. It's not a real position anyway. It should be people that are filled with the concern and consideration of the people of the state which they serve. You serve me, government. Well, I don't serve you with my life. You're supposed to be working for me. And what's best for me, which is life. Did you read your Bible before you took your position? Who brainwashed you to think that we aren't worthy of health insurance in America? Why are we so focused on Donald Trump seeing to it that we get a wall built in Mexico? We don't need a wall. We need to open up our arms and embrace love. I would like to go to DC and speak in front of the entire Congress freely and tell them what I think of them. I personally never wanted to be political. I want to lead worship for the Spirit of Christ, really. I went through and endured a lot, and then I learned I'm being monitored via satellite, watched, Satanists attacking my thought process, trying to sizzle me while I'm sleeping every day. What's the government doing about that? Well, they're not really doing anything, are they? Because they're also being manipulated and attacked. In other words, the people behind the scenes are the people who target and channel into the brains of the humans that are on the government board, okay? And if they're not in tune with it especially, or they're weak-minded, the truth of the matter is they're easy to manipulate to sign bills that are favor against life and intelligence. That's all I really have to say about Upper Valley. In my opinion, I want a lawyer, damn it. I got lawsuits here going back to the beginning of my life. There's plenty of freedom there, plenty of money for me to share with an attorney that would take the time to go back and sue everybody and sue them for not making it happen faster. Meaning, our legal system is so screwed up, things shouldn't take years to settle. You should be able to get it. We need more courtrooms then, all right? And we should be able to just go in and speak freely. This is what happened. It shouldn't be all formal. I need somebody in a suit and tie with their hair cut up above their ears to come in with me. Here's the facts. This is what happened, Your Honor. Now judge justly for life. That doctor in Upper Valley should be fired. Okay? What he did to me could have ended my life. I was mentally going through things. I was a patient. He kicked me out, which would have meant that I could have walked down the road and across the street into a river and drowned. I could have got hit by cars. I could have got picked up by a psychopath serial killer. Ohio's had a couple of those. There's a lot of different things that could have happened to me. Okay, but I ended up having to call somebody I shouldn't have had to call. Hey, Medicare. Hey, health insurance companies. Hey, CareSource, who wants to take up all the beautiful scenery in the city of Dayton right alongside the river. Okay? There could be health insurance plans that say what? You get a free ride home. You get a free ride to the facility. Why? Because you're getting mental or you're getting physical, you're getting treatment. And it's an outpatient. And you don't have a ride and you shouldn't have to depend on anybody at all. It should be included in this service provided by insurance companies. Stop being cheap and stop making up excuses not to be common sense. That frustrates me. I shouldn't have to call anybody for a ride. I should only have to pick up the phone and call a service. It's covered by my Medicare plan, my health insurance plan. That should be entitled to every living American the day they're born. All expenses covered. Why? Because the Holy Bible tells me everything belongs to God and everything belongs to me because I believe in His one and only Son, Jesus Christ, as the living King of life. Now, if the Bible's not true, take it off the shelves. Then all these preachers need to be sued for lying to me. Church is shut down. I'm not the only one with a personality disorder. This doctor has a serious personality disorder. Now, insurance companies, CareSource, what am I supposed to do when I want to get medically evaluated in an in-behavior unit in Dayton? Okay, in my city. I should have a ride to the place and a ride home from the place. Because you care about people, don't you, CareSource? Because if you don't, you shouldn't be in the business. You should be doing something else. I loved CareSource, by the way, when I had CareSource health insurance. I did try to call them because of my insurance plan that I have with Medicare and Medicaid, which in my opinion, it's partially there. But there's a lot of different things for me. My medical needs or everybody's is different. Okay? And especially tailoring is not the answer. The bottom line is health insurance should cover everything. Absolutely everything. Even the nutrients that we need to survive. Food, real food, from the earth. Yeah, they should cover your groceries too. It sounds absurd, doesn't it? Why will they give us prescription pills, which by the way, usually lead to death? It usually hurts the body. They sell it as this, they sell it as that. And the truth of the matter is what? More people end up with more problems than not because of the pills they take. I'm on right now. I have been diagnosed countless times. Okay, I noticed I had to be diagnosed as gender identity disorder for years, and they changed that. It's not a disorder anymore. It's a reality. Identity is a reality, folks. Deal with it. Your personal identity is not in alignment with what we've been taught. How about that? Now, and it's not the trend of what's going on today. That doesn't make you an outcast because you don't fit in that, because most of it is thrust upon us to believe or convince us that this is the way one should live in the American culture. Now, with that being said, with everything that I just talked about and mentioned, I had to go through countless doctors and hospitals, and every one of them had diagnosed me with severe, major depression. Now, that is something that once you're diagnosed with it for the rest of your life. And why is that? Because we learn, if we're being honest, it's all circumstantial, okay? You realize things that other people might not be in tune with, and it feeds to what the emotion of depression is, okay? I have proven evidence by officers. I have police reports on record, all kinds of stuff that will verify that I came this close to death over and over and over and over again. I was in many emergency rooms for suicide ideation. Am I suicidal now? Hell no, I'm not. But I'll tell you what, I'm extremely highly angry, which puts me in a bipolar state because I have extreme highs, extreme lows. I'm all over the place. I'm a human being. Now here's the thing, government, I should not have to prove to Social Security for the rest of my life or anybody else that I'm disabled. The evidence is already there. We have not been taught right. We've been lied to our whole life. The bottom line is we were not created to be submissive to idealism of how a human should live life, and therefore should be given an entitlement. Everybody should be given a just for life, not only health care, but the means to be able to live their life, not having to go to work to do it, not having to submit to other people's ideas of life. Do you know that the reason I came close to death all the time and the reason I was escorting is because I couldn't get work because I was faced with judgment continually, and because mentally it has been proven by psychologists, by myself, through evaluation that I can't mentally sustain a typical work environment. Therefore, I can't work 9 to 5. I can't work at Walmart. I can't work at these other facilities that have been established in an unhealthy, unnatured way. If I were to survive and thrive, were to do my dominant passions, and through life, let them come into existence as being life-supporting, okay? Now, with the way the system has been set up, the second you go out, somebody like me goes out and makes money, they want to throw you off the means that they have provided for you in order to stay alive and take care of your basics. That's bullshit. That's bullshit. Government, you and I need to get together. Bullshit. What a crock of bullshit. I got more to offer right now with the 2 albums I got than most of all of you put together in your whole life. It's bullshit. The laws that you have, the ways that you created, impossible to live a real life. Why are you against real life? Why do you place money in my hand and then get me and fine me for prostitution? Why is it that if I go out and make a reasonable amount of money that I can go buy real food with, do I get penalized for it? Why do I have to keep proving there's something wrong with me in order to receive what is logical, a safe place to live and money to live with, so I can have health care of some sort? What is your problem, government? Are you a bunch of Satanists? Are you real? Are you for life or not? I want to come to Congress so we can discuss this in D.C. I'm not afraid of you. You guys piss me off. This is my life I shouldn't be fighting for. I want to live and enjoy it. Your ways are impossible. You're impossible. And I don't want to see Junior be president. Why is it the Trumps and the Bush family and the Clintons, the dramatic people, right? Because we got Clinton with his cock being sucked by Monica. Now we have Donald Trump in his lingerie outfit. We had Obama swinging clubs, playing golf. Can he take a presidential suite for 8 years and do work and then golf later years? I could. I don't even like to golf. In other words, they're just acting. It's not real. The real government you don't see. And they're not really the government, they're Satanists. They just put people in positions to make people think there's some kind of government. And then they mess with all the laws. They manipulate people's brains to sign bills and paperwork. Because they try to keep oppressing humanity, they want to kill the spirit. The spirit, which is Jesus Christ, which would be the Holy Spirit, is indestructible. You can't kill it, Satanist. Snap out of it. Only a fool believes that it can kill something that is unkillable. Well, Satanists won't surrender, okay? They will not surrender. They are very persistent and insistent at destroying the lives of humanity. Now, instead of a life expectancy to be hundreds of years old, most people are dying before they're even 100, okay? Understand, we became accustomed and adjusted to this. It doesn't mean it's real. Why are we just accepting it? Stop watching television. They are using it to program your head. They don't only while you're watching, you're falling into agreement with everything you see on TV. This is life. This is what entertainment is. No, they use it to program the masses in society. Not only do they do that, there's something beaming on your child's head, messing with their thought process while they're watching TV. They try to get people in front of a television, by the radio, and then they jolt their brain. Is your kid seem like it's misbehaving differently? It could be because their brains are being attacked by means of electronic harassment via satellite, folks. Snap out of it. They'll show you the way things are being done in movies. Somebody like Jim Carrey, The Truman Show, The Cable Guy. You don't think that this stuff is real? They put it in the masses' face, okay? They put it in the masses' face. They're showing you what they're doing to you, and people are laughing about this. They don't know if it's real or not. It is real. The reason why most people are depressed, they're stressed out, there's all kinds of things going on, they're living lonely lives, is because Satanists are actually using other measures to sizzle their brain, and they can get inside your thought process. Don't be surprised if it's not a huge computer. And if you get in front of a television, the more people they get, or they go into realms where there's masses of people, don't think that when you walk into a building filled with thousands of people, hundreds of people, or your workplace, or the hospital, doctor's office, that all those poor people aren't being targeted in their brains. If you're out and around on the planet, you'll find out that they will literally send people to you to give you the insight that you are being watched a little bit closer than you desire. They can see you when you look in the mirror through your own eyeballs. How are they doing this, folks? Well, they say the closer you get to a grave, they'll let you know that you've been watched your whole entire life, closer than you ever thought. And they want all of your possessions. They want you to know that your whole life could have been different if you would have made different choices. Always choose for the life you desire and be willing to stand up for yourself. It's time people start raising their voices to these insurance companies and letting them know that we should have, at birth, insurance, and all expenses should be covered. We shouldn't have to call our next door neighbors. Can you give me a ride? A ride should be appointed and provided for you. It's very challenging and difficult when you want to take care of yourself. And there's all kinds of obstacles to go over. You shouldn't have to do that. And do you realize that most of the medical issues within the human race are put there via electronic? If you have a chip in you, that's how easy a satellite can beam your head. And they can cause all kinds of illusions that you have problems wrong with you by altering the thoughts in your brain. Transferring of energy? Go to your power plants that provide energy, the owners of said thing, and see if they don't have equipment to tinker around with people's brains and stuff. Chances are you'll find out in their own house they have equipment. They can invade go to extremely wealthy, powerful people of the earth that we perceive as that, And don't see if they don't have electronic means to invade your privacy via camera. Okay? Satellite camera. Not the cameras on the telephone pole. I gotta switch this memory card right now. We got 2 more reports to do. Tracilyn is happy because I'm done talking about this. I spilled out my heart. You know, you're being watched. Your kids who could be living a beautiful life, while they're watching television, their brains are being targeted. Get them away from watching commercials. Did you ever notice the commercials always promote something that leads to death? Or is an illness, a sickness? Start demanding your local television station start promoting things of health, wealth, unity, and get away from this stuff that's always sicknesses. And by the way, commercial television, though it is, needs to be regulated much more and minimized. The promotion of very sickly products. And the television, including even Disney, yes, Disney, the stuff they're promoting and have always promoted in their cartoons, smacking over the head, anything that is law of the land in America should be law in television, period. Well, they say if you did that, then people would actually act upon it in real life. If that's the case, they're being attacked by demonic forces. The Spirit of Christ doesn't want to smack people over the head. The Spirit of Christ wants to wrap their arms around people and kiss them and say, I love you. I love life. I love me. It's time that television programming and radio raises itself to a higher level. It's called stop showing us what we can't do in real life and pretend it's entertainment when it's not. Blowing up buildings, taking a machine gun and going in somewhere and just blasting people. Okay? That's not real. And you shouldn't be filling our kids, our people, with them thoughts in their heads. Then if they go out and do it, then what? Well, it's their fault. They have a psychological disorder. Satanists want you to meditate on things that are destructive. Understand that.